Hello and welcome to Citizens Forum. We're filming this on May the 7th. The first part of Citizens Forum is always the Walter and Jack show, and so away we go. This is our last program before the election. I'm going to start off by reading a letter to the editor. I'll make a few little changes in it, but if you want to read the letter yourself, and I think everybody should, it's in this month's issue of Focus magazine. It's one of the letters to the editor. Pick up the magazine, which is great, and read the letter too. So it's about democracy. Canadians do not have the mindset, education, or training they need by which to democratically govern themselves. Liberal democracies the world over, as they were born, knew that the existence and strength of a liberal democracy is based on a citizenry with a political education, a citizenry which can govern itself. And so the liberal democracies created free and universal education towards that end. Without a political education, the sovereign people is like a child playing with fire and constantly endangering the home. But now, the people who are supposed to be sovereign are going to schools and universities and colleges and are brought up by parents, caregivers, and teachers who know no better than that their goal is to prepare the subjects of the state for the tasks the corporations have for them. If we really wish to re-democratize government, then we, the people, must take back our education system, both the formal and the informal. We need to have a non-partisan constitutional assembly to reform the Constitution so as to improve our democracy, increase transparency of decision-making, and eliminate the power of special interest groups, mostly corporate paid lobbyists. We must have freedom of the press. We wrested the press away from censorship by oligarchic state power, only to hand it over to corporate oligarchic power. Corporations and their interests own the press, the media, and use it to mold public opinion and enforce their own ideology. Human history has been a struggle for liberty, equality, and fraternity of the mass of people against the tiny minority of the powerful and moneyed rich. A civilization worth living in starts and becomes strong with a citizenry that have a political education. I just agreed so much with that. Once again, it's in Focus magazine, this month's issue, letter to the editor. And here we are, Walter, in the middle of an election that is proving, I think, everything that the letter writer is saying. I just feel like we are manipulated, we the people, manipulated by the media and the politicians towards the end of the corporation who control the province.
Yeah, they do, Jack. And it becomes more and more of a reality every day. The trend isn't towards more democracy. The trend is towards more and more clampdown. Free exchange of ideas, and I mentioned this before, the shows where we have to have a little bit of courage and to speak out and to express ourselves. Maybe always step outside the box a little bit of what we're comfortable with and what forums we want to attend and things of that nature. But we have this situation where, from a very early age, we're not ever shown to be independent thinkers or to challenge ideas or to test ideas. We're just, in our educational systems, we're just given information, memorize it, regurgitate it at exam time, and who's ever the best at that tends to get the job. So, it's not really a model for creating a great citizen. So I think, one of the places we really got to work on is in our educational systems.
Yeah, so, I'm still not planning to vote, but I think I can say in my riding which is Victoria Beacon Hill. If I was going to vote, I'd vote Green. And it should be an interesting race there between Jane Sturk of the Greens and Carol James of the NDP. What are the issues? I have no idea. I have no idea really. Well, one issue that raises its head every once in a while, seems to be an important one, is the debt. Christy Clark is portraying herself and the Liberal government as the, I guess, as the, you know, the good business people. If you want a good economy, good business, efficiency, common sense, then you got to vote Liberal. That's the message from the Liberals. And the media goes along with that. But in fact, if you look at the issue of debt, which is a big issue because it's kind of doubled under the Liberals, plus they've added, so we've gone from about 35 billion of debt when the NDP left power, about, to 70 billion now, and on top of that, they've placed about another 90 billion of long-term contractual obligations. We're in long-term contracts, mainly with independent power producers producing electricity that BC Hydro has got to buy.
Okay,
Now,
Jack, but you say that's a big Liberal issue. Well, who's talking about it? I mean, the Liberals obviously created the problem, and some of those contracts, I believe, are illegal. But who's taking them on? Is the NDP taking them on? No. Is the Green Party fundamentally challenging those, saying those contracts should be renegotiated? They should go to bat for us. They're our representatives. Common sense tells you that those sort of agreements that were signed really, really were not fair to the public, and they've sold us out. The issue is, Jack, that there's no party that's going to bat for us on the run of the river, which is one of the largest issues that we're now going to be facing for generations. It's a huge problem.
Yeah. I mean, the run-of-river projects are environmentally damaging, economically devastating to this province, and yet, they were being signed over a number of years with between BC Hydro and the Liberal government and some of the biggest corporations in the world, including, for example, General Electric, and it was all done in complete secrecy. The media, I mean, why would a media that works for us allow our government to sign tens of billions of dollars worth of very bad deals and never mention it to us? Why would the media not do this? The only reason I can think of is that the media absolutely 100% does not work for us.
No, it's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm an electrician and I'm not an expert on energy supply, and I've been trying to find out, by the way, what is the capacity of BC Hydro right now with the dams and infrastructure we have. I think we're about 50% oversupply. In reality, there's no energy shortage in this province, electricity. And we have a situation where they want to build a Site C dam. And at what point are you going to say, hang on here, how about really true energy conservation? Real measures to take that really could change, make a huge shift in our society.
And that's one. That's we're talking hydro and debt,
Yeah.
and a lot of money flowing from our pockets. Look at the issue of homelessness and poverty. I mean, are any of the parties talking about that? Is the media talking about that? The solutions are there. We can solve 90% of the problem of homelessness and greatly reduce poverty in this province too. Not difficult to do, but the people who run the province do not allow it to happen, including the politicians, the media, and I guess the corporate forces they work for. But this isn't an election issue either. I mean, the real election issue is who runs this province?
Well, what I have trouble with is that I'll start reading about one issue, either the BC Hydro issue, the sale of BC Rail, the tax breaks to the rich that drove us into debt in the first place. I mean, you feel like a puppy in a field full of bunny rabbits. You don't know which one to chase first. There's so many things wrong. And by the way, nobody's talking about any of those issues. The Greens aren't talking about it. The NDP aren't talking about it. And of course, the Liberals created it, so they're not talking about it. We're living in this pretend election. It's a make-believe election. And anybody that with any analysis at all looks at that, and it just leaves you cold. It just leaves you like, wow, how can I participate in this? And I think I'm going to be part of the majority of this province of people who don't vote, because I cannot go there. I cannot go there and vote because these issues are just too big.
You know, I feel the same way. The main reason I'm not voting is that I no longer want to endorse this completely corrupt and undemocratic system. I don't want to endorse it with my vote. I won't do that this time around. But there are solutions out there, and the solutions are we've got to re-democratize our system of government, and as was said in that letter to the editor, you know, we need media as well. If we had a media whose job it was to inform us about the important issues of the day, we would be so much better off.
Oh, I think so. You know, but where are we headed? I mean, I think the NDP are heading in for majority, no matter how the hype is about Christy Clark tightening up the race and all that. But you know, the NDP, Adrian Dixon, John Horgan, who run the show, who's kidding around here? The rest of the party just goes along with whatever these guys are calling the shots are. And you know, the big deal here is that right at the end of the campaign promise trail that Adrian was leaving behind him for a couple of weeks was a pledge to open up a $10 million inquiry into the sale of BC Rail. Now, all he has to do is let the Auditor General do his job, give the Auditor General the information that is required. He's going to easily dig up all the dirt. But they're shutting down the Auditor General. The Liberals practically fired him with the help of the NDP and Adrian Dixon, John Horgan, and there's lots of evidence to show that. Now they're going to bring in their own new Auditor General. And one has to wonder, well, what is that Auditor General going to be doing? Is he just going to be a NDP lapdog? You know, are we going to continue on, Jack, in the same old thing of a cover-up, a $10 million cover-up of the sale of BC Rail? You know, this is outrageous. Just totally outrageous that the NDP are going to do that. All they have to do is let the Auditor General do his job. And I really think that this is such a ripoff for British Columbians on this one issue. We need a fair process here. All the dirt should be exposed here, and I think in the end we have to change how things happen in British Columbia. You know, and to allow this to go on is really outrageous.
Yeah. And, you know, as you said before, it's like every time you turn around, there's something new happening. I don't think any of us can even begin to keep up with the attacks on our society and our economy and our environment that are happening. And it wasn't like this 10 or 20 years ago. Bad things happened, but you could focus on them. Now it's literally every time you turn around. And it's because over the last 10 or 20 years, the corporations have gotten more and more and more powerful. And now, I mean, they just basically seem to be doing what they want. Look at their Prime Minister, Harper. Look what he's doing to us. And what can we do about it? It seems that there is nothing we Canadians can do about Stephen Harper. It doesn't matter if we agree with what he's doing. It doesn't matter if we disagree with what he's doing. Is he the Prime Minister, the Democratic Prime Minister of a democratic nation, or is he a corporate dictator ruling over the people of Canada? I would say for sure it's the second. And what does that make us, and how much longer are we going to put up with it?
Well, really, and you know, the NDP, one would hope, will come ahead with something progressive. You know, they have a mandate to do it. You know, the NDP could practically say anything right now and get elected. And they could have a mandate to clean up these scandals. And they would still get elected. And they would be popular with the people. Why are we just all going to go and hold our nose and vote for these guys to get rid of, obviously, one of the most corrupt regimes we've ever seen, What kind of a deal is that? Are they that afraid of the corporate masters? That
I think so, yes. That's the only answer I can think of, is because the corporations own the media. And even with 2 weeks to go, or 1 week to go,
Yeah.
This is being filmed on the 7th, I think I think the deal is the NDP are going to win the election, but certainly
Yeah.
the media could destroy the careers of the top politicians, and they don't want that. They want to be in power to have fun, to have the power for the next number of years. And that's the price you got to pay. You got to do it. And the problem is that we citizens do not have our own media. That is a fundamental problem that we've got to deal with. That should be an election, this issue. I would like any one of the parties to say we are going to create a $2 million independent media fund. That's 50 cents for every person in BC. And that will be doled out in a fair way. There's a way to do it in which people can vote where they want their share of this little $2 million to go. And I guarantee you we would get our money back 150 times over, and this province would just bloom and prosper.
Do you think we could afford it, Jack? I bet you the Liberals spent $2 million last week on campaign ads.
Yeah.
Our priorities are so whacked out right now. And what really dismays me is the thought that, okay, we're going to be able to get rid of the Liberals, finally. And then the NDP are going to set in their nice little cushions down at the legislature and get really comfortable. And not too much is going to happen for another 4 or 8 years. It can really drive you wild. I mean, they could have a huge mandate just by listening to the public.
But actually, a lot of things are going to happen. All of them probably bad. The NDP said, I got that press release last week, we support mining and we support natural gas. Well,
Yeah.
That's going to happen. What does that mean for us? The NDP is not going to take back any of the huge tax cuts that the Liberals gave to the 1% and the corporations. So, which means healthcare, not enough money.
Yeah.
Education, not enough money. The poor, not enough money. The homeless, no money. I mean, it's there. The solutions are there, but the politicians don't work for us, and we've got to change.
Well,
them.
the Liberals are all hot on the fracked gas and the natural gas and everything like that. By the way, there's been fracking going on all over North America. Tens and tens of thousands of shafts sent down. We are awash in natural gas. It's not worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be building our economy on natural gas.
Why is that a plan? Why, which gets us back to the free trade deals and what happened in Bangladesh just a week ago,
Yeah.
with the deaths of hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Why would we Canadians agree to send all of our jobs, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of our jobs, to countries where the corporations can pay them, in Bangladesh, reported in the Globe and Mail, $40 a month. $40 a month. So they send the jobs over there, we're out of work. They still import the clothing back in and sell it for a fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, it's high price stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody's making a killing on this, in more ways than one. Why? And yet, this is always presented to us as the best thing we can do for ourselves. More free trade, more free trade. Well, who wants free trade?
Well, it's so
Who
devastating
benefits?
to the environment. And how do you not talk about workers' rights and human rights while talking about the environment? I never could. And one of the big problems with this, the thrust of the Green Party in British Columbia right now, is I don't think I've ever heard the phrases workers' rights or human rights from the lips of Jane Sturck. And how can you separate the environment from workers' rights and human rights? It's impossible. It's inextricably linked. And the issue about Bangladesh is exactly so on the point of how we're willing to buy these goods. We don't care how they're produced. The consumers in North America, buildings collapse and kill several hundred people. Do you think Joe Fresh is going to be losing money this week? I don't think so. People are going to rush into those stores and still buy that clothing. We're just in such a such a conundrum right now where the public is not demanding something better. We have environmental parties that are so locked into it's just several issues and not looking at the broader
We should be
picture.
able to buy Canadian-made clothes at a reasonable price, and we shouldn't have to pay $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for a place to live.
No.
We're in the second biggest country in the world, with a population of 35 million people, and land price. Who is benefiting from this, if not the land holding companies, the big land? I mean, it's all of it. Our whole economy, society, and environment are just being pushed out of control, and if we don't take them back, I mean, we're really going down. And I think the only way to do it that I can think of is we need a media, we need democracy. And I think we're almost out of time.
I want to ask you one question, though,
okay.
Jack. So Jane Sturker or Carol James, who are you going to vote for?
If I was going to vote, and I'm not planning on voting, I would vote in my riding for Jane Sturk.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we've still got 1 minute left.
1 minute left.
Carry on. We've covered everything on this. I wish I had a good joke to tell, but I can tell one about the Russian meat inspectors. So here's the story. There was a little story in the paper about a week ago. A group of meat inspectors from Russia have come to Canada because they want to take a good close look at some of our meat plants, because they're now refusing in Russia to accept meat from Canada because a lot of it is so chemicalized and so hormonized that it cannot be accepted into the European Union or into Russia. So people are coming from Russia and saying, sorry, Canadians, the quality of your meat is not acceptable. It's unhealthy. And we Canadians are not even told. Thanks for watching this segment of the Walter and Jack Show, and talk to you next week. Thank you, Walter.